I'm gonna show you guys how to take this apart. We've been through the intro, we've been through some basic descriptions of all the bits and the bobs, and we are gonna go into this right now and see what the internals look like. Now this is a basic model Quadrajet. Some of you might have more vacuum pull-offs over here or other linkages, but for the purposes of this tutorial I'm just going to be working with this. You'll find these on a lot of trucks. I've seen plenty of trucks with the manual chokes on them from the earlier years. Alright, so without further ado, I'm going to show you how to take one of these guys apart. Quadrajets have screws that keep them together, and as you can see, there are three distinct parts. This little section at the top here, you can see the division over there. That's the Airhorn. That's the top part of the Quadrajet. And that center section over there is where all your primary jets will sit in. We're going to tear into that now. And this is your base plate. This is where your shafts run through. And before you start taking the screws off, you need to disconnect a couple of rods. The first one would be the accelerator pump here, and as I've mentioned before, this might not even be the correct rod. It seems like it's too long. So you would have a rod sitting over there like so. So what you'd need to do, this would be fixed. You wouldn't be able to get this out like I just did. So if you look from this side over there, there's a little pin stuck in over there. Let me point it out to you guys. It sits right in over there, and what you want to do is you want to tap that out until it's about the thickness of the tip of a screwdriver from this horn over here. And this is a real back way to do it. I just take little needle nose pliers. It has to be a nice flat face. You don't want to really tap that too hard, because you'll end up jamming it in there. Try and get a flat punch or something that's just a little bit thinner than the hole, so that you can get through there. You can see it's slowly starting to come out at the back there, so I'll just go, and mine's been out once or twice, so that generally helps. You might find yours will be a little bit more stuck, and you slowly keep tapping until there's just space to get a screwdriver in there, and then what you'll find is this little arm will come out. Now bear in mind, it's still going to be attached to this little arm, so it's going to come out a little bit at a funny angle, and it's going to be dangling like that, but you can just drop that off or disconnect it, do what you want to do. Alrighty, then we're going to swivel around to the choke side, and once again my rod is not the right type, but what you'll find is you'll see a rod coming out of here, and it'll be sticking through there, and there'll usually be a little C-clip on that side that's keeping this rod from slipping out. So you'll just pop that C-clip off, slide the rod out, and this would usually just either lie there, or what you can do if you have a manual choke is take this screw off, and if you have a hose running from your canister to your body, just pull that off, unscrew this, and you can disconnect this whole unit like such, and what's going to happen is this rod is going to pull out with something looking like that, and you can just put that on the side. Right, so we've disconnected our accelerator pump lever, we've disconnected our choke. Sometimes you'll have a screw over there, which means you can unscrew that, unclip it, and screw this lever back on. This one is pinned, so it just depends on what you have. Alright, with your choke off and your accelerator pump disconnected on that arm over there, what you're going to do now is get to the screws. Now remember those two little guys down here. If this is closed, you're going to have to open it up. You've got one over there, screw over there, these two, and those two over there. You've got those two and the one at the back here. what you'll do is just take these out. Like I said, mine are loose just to make this a lot faster. I'm just gonna get those out inside there. You might have Torx here. These are flats. The original carbs actually came out with Torx, so you might need a special bit to get those out. Alrighty, get this one out, and I will show you guys what the inside of the Quadrajet looks like. Okay, when all your screws are out, the 2 there, 4, 6, 8, and then 9 or 10, however many you have. There's one last thing, your secondary rods. Almost forgot that. See these little guys over here? They are secondary rods. That little screw there just needs to come out. And set that aside, and then just gently take the hanger off, and you'll see these 2 rods. Those are your secondary rods. They just hang in those little eyes, and you can just set those down. Make sure not to damage those. Right, so with your levers off, your secondary rods out, and your screws undone, you're going to gently try and get the carburetor horn, the air horn off. And what you want to do is just sort of slowly try and pry it open. If it's a little bit stuck, I mean, guys say you shouldn't, but you know, I think it's relatively safe to go near the casting here and just sort of, you know, find a little gap. You can tap it with. Now what you're going to find here is that your gasket's going to get stuck a bit on the top bit and a bit on the bottom bit. So what you want to do is maybe just leave a screw in on let's say one side over there and one side over there, and what you're going to be able to do then is it'll be able to lift up, but it's not going to be able to rip your gasket in half. And what that'll allow you to do is very gently just go in with a feeler gauge, a thick feeler gauge, or a very soft ruler, and just comb the gasket away and see if you can save that. And once the gasket's off the top, you can go and take those screws off, and then just very gently get your air horn off, or take this off vertically because it has tubes that go down here that you don't want to damage. I'm going to try and tilt it so that you can see what it looks like before it comes off. So there's the accelerator pump spring, and you would have a gasket over there, and you can see those tubes over there. They go down into those holes. Right, and try and hold it upright because this is going to be loose. See, it just slides off, and that's your air horn off. Alrighty, you want to be careful not to damage those tubes, and you want to set that down very gently. And that is the inside of the Quadrajet.